In previous videos, we talked about the common charges that we see being assault in domestic violence cases, and I alluded to the fact that there are higher levels of assault that we can see. I wanted to really take time to focus on this video specifically relating to the charge of strangulation in a domestic violence case. Now, in Colorado, our Colorado legislature made strangulation an actual class 4 felony because they deemed this to be a much more serious crime and something that caused a higher risk of harm or death to another person. The problem that we see is in Colorado, often strangulation is charged at the merest mention of someone's neck being hurt. Let me back that up. So for strangulation to be actually charged under the criminal code, there has to be that underlying assault, but then the act that is done has to be an act, sometimes people say choking, but it's actually strangling, putting your hands around another person or causing something to cut off airflow to another person. Now, in a true strangulation case, this has a very high risk of mortality because, as we all know, the human body can only survive a very short amount of time without air. The problem from a criminal defense perspective that we see is oftentimes the police can ask questions and ask things saying, well, so-and-so, did you feel anything touch your neck at all? If a neck is mentioned at all, a lot of the times law enforcement will jump in and charge that as a strangulation. But it's not true to the strangulation that was initially the impetus for charging it as a felony under the Colorado legislative intent. The problem is anytime someone says choking, put their hands around my neck, or anything near their neck, a lot of the times law enforcement will see strangulation rather than an assault. What's crucially important is that if you find yourself unfortunately charged with a strangulation, you need to have a criminal defense attorney that can dig in and determine whether it actually is rising to that level of strangulation to warrant a felony charge, or whether this is a third-degree assault or even a harassment that was wrongly charged because someone gave a keyword like neck, and so law enforcement automatically jumped in and thought that this was a felony level rather than a misdemeanor level. Now, any domestic violence charge in Colorado is very serious. You do need to get help, but having that added level of felony charge on top of your already existing domestic violence case can be incredibly detrimental to your life and your future. So you need to make sure that you are having the charges properly levied against you if there are charges that need to be levied, and you need to make sure you have a criminal defense attorney that can parse out what was actually supposed to be charged so that you actually have the justice and the opportunity to fight the charges that you should have been charged with, not someone saying, well, my neck was involved in some way, so automatically you're facing a felony charge.